What is up, everybody?
Hi, everyone. We're back.
Yes, we are back.
Saturday. Not much to do in this household. But one of the things that we do is converse. And every time that we have a conversation, like the one that we were actually starting a few minutes ago, we would like to share them with you and incorporate a lot more people into the conversation. So you wanted to go back to your question and what you were talking about.
Where was the first? Where did we start? There was several stops on the way. So
I think we were talking about how you said that you, some scientists believe in.
Oh yeah, so I saw this thing that was like the chimps have entered the Stone Age, and it's like video of them playing with rocks or something. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even see it. Like, it was terrible, but it's just, that's like the last thing you should do is rag on something without actually seeing it. But no, it just made me think that it was really cute that, you know, they have this theory of evolution and they're like finding things that fit into it, and there's just so much. And we're talking about millions and millions of years. Like, we have unsolved mysteries today. like a crime could happen, and with all technology, we can't figure it out right now. And we think that millions of years ago, we have put together like this theory that explains everything, and we know what happened a billionth of a second right after the Big Bang happened. And there's so much knowledge that's simply based on what they've been able to perceive, and it's cute, you know? Like, they don't question it. That, you know, what if they're, I mean, and they do, but, you know, like, that's how things like dark matter, black holes, you know, you can't see a black hole, but you see matter being pulled. And so, you know, with Stephen Hawking, he was the first dude that came up with that black hole concept, you know? And then other things that we can't see, but we can see the effect of. So now you're making assumptions and theories and hypotheses. I got that backwards. Hypotheses and theories, of course. Scientific method, very important to know. Based on what you can't even perceive, right? But you know, based on what you can perceive, that it's being affected. So certainly there must be things that you can't perceive, right? There's things that we can't perceive, but we perceive that we can't perceive them. But what if you can't perceive what you can't perceive? You have no idea. And that opens the gate to the world, the universe, life itself, structure of everything, is certainly for a fact, any scientist would say this, more than we can perceive. Even as much as we use microscopes and telescopes and all kinds of thisograms and nanoscans and stuff, you know, it shows all this stuff. And it's like there's still more than we don't know. We can't even know how much we don't know.
True. But I think one of the things that we were talking about was that if they feel that those that believe in a higher power feel the same way about, or I guess, the certainty.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So everybody has their certainty. Those who believe in those things without questioning all those theories have that certainty in what they believe. And then those who believe in a higher power, believe in God, have their own certainties in those things. And then we just haven't been able to come to terms in the fact and be tolerating of each other, and just know that there's some people that believe in those facts, and then people that believe in God. But one of the things that we're talking about as well was senses. Then those people that believe in those facts limit certain things to their senses, and they're perfectly fine with that. And then there's people that do not want to limit to those senses and want to limit, or they think that we go beyond those senses, or there are different things out there.
And that could mean a lot of different schools of thought. It's not necessarily God,
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So furthermore, we were joking about how I feel that like the evolutionists and stuff are cute in the way that they put their theories together, and that they don't know how much they don't know. That's how, like the scientists and the atheists and stuff feel about the religious people. That they're thinking, oh, it's so cute, they have their personal experience, and I don't even know if they think they have personal experience. I bet a lot of atheists think that the people are just like making it up in their mind, Like, I know I've had, spiritual or metaphysical experiences and stuff like that. And,
but I think if we go back to that conversation that we were about to have on what constitutes a person that is more, I guess, inclined to thinking more scientifically and disregarding, anything that could be a belief that goes beyond it. Like, I think some of the experiences that I have with people in my life that do not believe are people that have either just not been raised in that situation, that have been exposed to excessive amounts of injustices in the world, and somehow they've actually, done something about it and been part of that at a very, close proximity to that type of suffering, as well as that type of assistance to others, or those who have lived through a traumatic experience, and they are so sensitive that they just kind of go atheist somehow. So I don't know if that is the case with scientists. I worked for a long time as well with doctors, and some of them atheists, and it was really difficult for me to believe that there was no real belief in other, in a higher power when they were dealing with, the situations that they were dealing with. But then I realized that, when you're in that situation and you see your limitations, because you understand your limitations, it is very difficult for you to believe that there is something that goes beyond those limitations. It's really difficult for you to believe that there's probably a higher power that goes beyond those limitations.
Right.
But I understand that. So then, but I also grew up in a very Catholic household, where everything is about God, and God is the center of everything, and God is the center of every conversation. So then I also understand that mentality. So what guides that brain to, completely be focused on facts, and what guides that brain to completely be focused on a guidance of a higher power. So those of you who have just recently joined, if you have some input on it, we're open to.
We're getting excited. There's two people watching.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, Jimmy and hey, Tom. How you doing, man? How y'all doing? Yeah, it's friends from bands. Yeah, we were in 782 together.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, good times. But no, what you were saying about like limitations is that well, I'm nervous. Oh my god. No, the limitations. limits of human potential, we actually don't even know, because every day it seems like we hear of some like fantastic thing that a person has done, like the blind kid that learned echolocation so that he could like move about the world, you know, and Edgar Casey, like self-hypnotizing himself and predicting, you know, world wars, predicting the stock market crash, being able to diagnose a person 1,000 miles away just by knowing their name and the city they were in. So, you know, for us to think that we know what our potential is, it definitely limits us, because we actually don't have limits. You know, our limits are actually beyond what we can think. So we do have limits, but we can't even perceive them because we don't have that type of perception. You know, we have traces of it, but not enough. And so when you take that scientific way of thinking, but you also apply it to our own experience. Like, I know a lot of like the scientists and things that are atheists, they want empirical things that you can measure. And so personal experiences, they tend to write them off a little bit. You know, but actually all of the scientific method is personal experience. You're personally seeing that something is 10 inches long and 3 inches wide, you know, and you're personally calculating that with numbers, right? Like, there are many other ways to think about things, but this is the way that we use. And so it's a personal experience, and it's very much, you know, just as belief-based as any other religion or anything else.
Yeah.
And they just have so much in common, and that they overlap so much that there's a lot that they can share with each other.
I think one of the things that I can think of is actually in econometrics. And one of the things that happen in econometrics, like, you know, the whole science of it is just it's like voodoo, you know, but people come up with a result when it comes to econometrics, right? And then those results get transformed into a very simple number that those are the things that get published in the different magazines, and then that's exactly what we see. And then we see certain percentages of whatever it is happening in the world. It doesn't have to be finances. It could be anything that has to do with development. It could be anything. And then we see that transformed into just percentages. Well, a lot of the jokes that come from econometrics and the punchline.
Econometric
jokes. Yes, economists have jokes, people, you know, and some of us think it's funny. You know? Yeah. So then those jokes, the punchline is and it's usually about hunting, you know, and it's usually about a hunter that does not hit the deer, but gets very close to it, and he still thinks that he hit the deer, you know? and this is just because...
Like with his car or what?
No, like shooting, you know, they're hunting. They're hunting,
gotcha.
But because they're economists hunting, and they get very close to hitting the deer, they still count as they hit the deer, you know? That's usually the punchline for those jokes. So then, you know, how many other things are we seeing that have become, you know, a fact in research that has nothing to become exactly close enough, but not like exactly at the point. So then, because you're there, you know, and because the trends are there.
Well, what you do is you get to 0.001, but then you get to 0.001 of that. Then you get to 0.001 of that. Then you get to 0.0, and eventually, you've done that far.
Yes, because it happens several times to the point that you actually have like a straight line of those things. Then you know you are there, and it's perfect.
That's great. Yeah, so you got a master's in economics.
I have a master's in international relations and Latin American studies and indigenous development. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shortchange you. There's time to talk about it.
Yeah, there's time, and we'll have other topics to discuss when it comes to those things. Yes.
Yeah. That's. I have always wondered when you get into economics. I've heard the more you get into it, the more that you have to recognize that you don't really understand any of it. Is that like true?
Well, yeah. The thing is that there's a lot of people that see economics as a I guess administrative science. So they think of it as,
Like a
finance. No. So that's the other thing. Okay. So then there's a lot of places where you can actually see how a school or a university focuses on economics, and it depends on what school or they have it in. So if you know that if they have them in administrators and they have it with those people that are graduating in business administration or finance, then you know that mentality of the school and where they have economics placed. But when you see a university or a school that has economics as a social science, then it's a completely different thing. Because they really know what they're talking about, and they really know what economics is, which is the allocation of resources. And it doesn't really matter what type of resource. It could be a person, it could be anything. And that's one of the things that I always try to tell the youth that are interested in economics. If you're interested in economics, you have to think of economics as a science that could be applied to anything. Anything that it's your interest, anything that it's very social, anything that it's happening to your life, it can be applied to that if you think of the different variables that are impacting whatever it is that you're interested in. So economics is very broad, and I think there's not enough interest from the community and from the youth because there's not, and I guess there's not people out there that are actually sharing with them what economics really is. So whenever I have the opportunity, it's super important to me to let people know, yes, economics, it's about the allocation of resources, and it could be any resource. So when it comes to just acknowledging who you are and the capacities and capabilities and abilities that you have, and knowing where to place you, where to put you, that is part of economics. Or anything else that is going on in your life when it comes to a valuable resource. The way that you know how to place them in different locations where it's appropriate, that is part of economics.
So like a economy of the self type of thing.
Yes.
So, there's one phrase from economics. I mean, I only took enough economics to get through, a 2-year school. But one phrase that I like the idea of, which was opportunity cost. And an opportunity cost is when every time you do something that's going to take time or resources or both, you can't have one without the other. It's always going to take both. Just depends on how much of each. That's going to be a cost of resources, money, whatever, and time. But that time is you could have spent doing something else. And that's like the key component of the opportunity cost. Doing one thing, it took the opportunity away from doing another thing. And so that in our lives, it's like that. Anytime we're doing something, we're not doing 100 other things, whatever it could be, we're not throwing a frisbee, or, we're not climbing a tree, or we're not sleeping, or, whatever.
And I think the more that you get into economics and you start kind of falling in love with that, the science, you end up seeing and knowing that a lot of those terms become something that is very close to you. So then economics doesn't become this strange things with strange terms for you. Then you know how to apply certain things, like when we talk about the law of diminishing returns. You kind of like something, you like it so much, you want to have a lot more of it, then it peaks. But because you've had so much of it, then all of a sudden it just kind of doesn't anymore, and you're like, oh, I'm so tired of this ice cream that I've just been having forever, and it's just like, but you used to like it so much, you always wanted that, but you had already reached a point where you had it so much that you were so tired of it, so that it's the simple explanation of the law of diminishing returns. And just like that, you have so many terms in economics like competitive advantage and, all this other terminology that we can talk about and then just apply it to whatever you want in your life. And it's just kind of like talk like an economist if that's what you wanted.
Yeah, well, I like using different fields of knowledge to explain a broader thing, because I mean, that's what an analogy is. But all of these fields of thought and of knowledge, we can use them in a broader sense that they were designed for. And I feel like we can apply them more broadly. Like that's what actually happened with Darwinism, and I mean this in a historical sense. You know, back when it was Darwinism in like 1800s, mid 1900s, it's still Darwinism in England. Actually, I found this out the hard way, that Darwinism in the U.S. is considered a pejorative term, but in UK it's synonymous with the theory of evolution.
Oh, okay.
It's like we say Kleenex, you know, but it's a tissue paper, like type of thing. And so
how did that happen?
Honestly, I'm not sure. But the what I was getting to before that was that Darwinism, they applied it to society. They called it social Darwinism.
Yeah.
But actually, Darwin didn't really propose that. It was someone else. I forgot his name.
Yeah, that happens.
But it was funny because, you know, it was like a way of the elitists to how do you say, to what's the word when you like defend something? Can't think of the right word, but you know, it was basically their way of letting themselves like know that they're doing the right thing by oppressing the lower classes. You know, it was like, this is how life is. This is survival of the fittest. Our families are more fit. You know, like this was like time of Carnegie Steel and you know, like oil, Rockefeller oil and shit. Not a necessary evil. They didn't see themselves as evil. You know, they saw themselves as the most fit for survival.
That's not kind of familiar with what's still happening. You know?
Yeah, it is. right. It's more historical content. Yeah, it's very, very true. More so, yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that. I was thinking of making like some conspiracy theory videos. Like I have a ton of video ideas. One of them I want to make conspiracy videos. And the first one I want to do is probably on soap. And so soap is this giant conspiracy where you have soaps for every little different thing. You know, you have soaps that you know, that brighten, and you have soaps that disinfect, and you have soaps that smell like citrus, and you have soaps that smell like linens, and you have, you know, all natural soaps that don't have any dyes or scents in it. And then you know, and on all of these things. And at the end of the day, the soap is, we're not supposed to wash ourselves with soap. You know, if the evolutionary people want to go bad, that's the thing. Like, they love to say our ancestors didn't do that, or our ancestors did this, so therefore we have to do it. Our ancestors using soap? No.
But they're turning on a faucet or
turning on when did our ancestors ever do any of that? You know, it's like, but consider the consequences of it. But for real though, our bodies are designed they produce an oil, right? That keeps dirt away, and you have to rinse every now and then, you know, but that's the natural way. Your body's oils. But actually, from the very hour that we are born, they start washing us. I saw it.
Yeah, it's true.
When we were there, and I was thinking, I saw them washing the hair. I was like, oh, they're already, you know, and I bet that's like,
why are they contaminating her hair?
Right, I bet that's like some crappy. I mean, I'm sure you have to wash the stuff out, but like, why are you using soap right now?
Yeah.
Like, even it's baby soap, right? That's another conspiracy with baby products, you know. And you know, your baby soap. That's right. It's gentle. It won't hurt their eyes.
Yeah. And the bad thing about it is that if it's a female baby, then it gets the pink item. And it's allowed with the pink tax. You know, and it's got to be like baby girl oil, you know.
Right. Even gentler. Yeah, and so that's my first conspiracy. So, but that's the thing, that I tried this. I did it for about a year and a half, or I didn't use soap, but I had to find myself showering about 3 times a day. Because I wasn't using deodorant either. That's another thing, because you know, they have us applying these chemical products to very sensitive parts of our body that are very absorptive, or however it's said. And so it makes us sick, you know, it really does. And so, like, I've been using Tide crystals for a long time, and it's not as effective because it's all natural. It's not this powerful chemical stuff. you know, and it's like, so actually taking a shower 3 times a day, I actually was able to go about my day. And but this is back when I didn't have a car, so I was riding my bike everywhere. So of course I had to take 3 showers a day because I had to work up the sweat. Any sweat, stink, dude. Like bam, right away. And that was the downside. But other than that, and so, but it actually makes us sick because our body depends on these natural oils to keep a lot of the body in balance. And by washing it off with soaps all the time. Yeah, it's conspiracy. You heard it here first, folks. So anyways, how long have we going on half an hour? So that was not.
Yeah.
That was nice. So yeah, for anyone that's here. Yeah, pot of things. We're gonna try to broadcast at least a couple times a week. Hopefully every day, every other day. We want to put videos on a lot of different topics, and we want to hear suggestions. We want to hear what you guys want to hear. If you want to hear, some more conspiracies, ask me. I probably have like 20 more. You want to hear another one?
Sure.
Balloons. You were thinking about balloons, were you?
No.
No. Well, next time we'll talk about the conspiracy behind balloons. I just made that up. I'm just kidding. I don't have a balloon conspiracy. I'm so ashamed. No, I do have more though. I do. If people are really gonna like, what?
Yeah, now I want to hear about the balloons.
I can make something up. Yeah. But no, actually, speaking of balloons, they now make the helium tanks disposable. You get a helium tank, and the effort is throw away when you're done with it. And that just made me realize, like, we live in such a disposable society.
Yeah.
What the hell? I was like, I'll buy a tank if why is this happening? Like, the amount of this, and it's just, it's staggering, and it's so, it's a fuse. It's a lit fuse. And how long is it going to go for? It's already burning. So, we're watching it blow up. We can see so many places in the world that are just like trash filled. Like I've been to India, and there's a persistent smell of just mounds and mounds of trash. And I remember going one place. I forgot where I went, but it hit me that it didn't smell as terrible there. It still smelled. But I was like, wow, it smells like much less bad.
That happened to me in different places too. It's just like, wow, what happened here? And then you kind of question, like, did I get used to it, or does it really not smell?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Is like we're partly responsible for that, but we don't see it because we have the resources to keep our streets clean. Because we lock up enough people in jail so that they can come out here and clean this crap up for us. People rally against the jail system, but I don't think they realize how much of their life is sponsored by people in jail.
That's true.
Shop at Victoria's Secret, you got people in jail making that shit. I guess if it wasn't there, it would just be in China or whatever.
Alrighty. Well,
that's it. You want to call it a day?
Call it a day. Thank you.
You don't want to talk anymore?
No, not really. I'm about to leave, so.
I feel like that was like stuff the Muppets would do. Have a good day. Bye.